Welcome, everybody, to another episode of How I Made It Through. I'm Bernadette Thompson. I'm so excited today because I have with me Rachel Garrett. She's an RN. She's the founder of Akashic Angels and the host of the Spirit Spotlight series podcast. She's a gifted Akashic Records practitioner and combines her clinical nursing experience with spiritual insight to guide women through transformational healing. Rachel empowers her clients with intuitive coaching, energy work, deep soul education to awaken their purpose and inner light. Welcome, Rachel. I'm so happy that you are here.
Thank you, Bernadette. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I love, and it's one of the things that I want to do with this podcast is bringing on other healing practitioners who we all have different skills. We've all learned different things, and I love that you combine your nursing with your spiritual gifts. And I think I would love to start there, just to say, how did you marry the two? Like inside you, how did you marry the two?
It's
And
interesting.
just kind of talk a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So I feel like I began my spiritual journey before I began my nursing journey, and I kind of wanted to help people, but I didn't really know how that was going to flush out. So it's a funny story, very funny, not funny. My parents, they're like, you know what, just become a nurse. And I was like, I don't know about that because I wanted to be a journalist, which is kind of funny because now I have a podcast. So it's like I kind of was able to do what I wanted to do as a child, but I always wanted to be a caretaker and a mother. And I really felt that calling within me. And when you're a nurse, you see, I mean, there's so many different nursing fields, and I'm grateful for the path that I've been on because I've been a nurse, I think, about 20 years now. And I started in the hospital. I started on a med surg unit, and then I actually was able to do hospice nursing. I was able to do oncology nursing. I became we were only two chemo certified, nurses in the hospital. But going through that, you see there's death, there's dying, there's suffering, there's addiction, there's a lot of people that don't have the tools or maybe just don't have the ability to articulate what's going on. You just feel the suffering and the pain inside of them. And, so I wanted to be able to blend my gifts in with nursing only because I wanted to be able to be a gentle touch with people to say, it's okay. Your loved ones are here in spirit. We talked about this yesterday. Crack open a window for spirit to come in. It's, look for signs from your loved ones. And, I'm a believer that death is just a doorway. And, just because someone's not in a physical body doesn't mean we can't connect with them in spirit. And I always believe that within. And I'm grateful that I do have a science background, a nursing background, to be able to tap into somebody's energetic field. And I can pick up on their emotional being, their spiritual being, their, all of our energetic essences. So I guess that's really, I always want to know why something works and how something works. And, divine isn't quite as open with how things work. We have to feel, sense, and imagine and really kind of really pull in that information. And I'm always somebody who wants to be learning. So I think for me, I may not have meandered down a spiritual path really deeply like I am now if I didn't become a nurse, because I needed the science background to understand. So for example, and I apologize, I'm getting long-winded, I am an integrative energy therapy master healer. And that works with the 9 healing angels of the IET field. And it's getting the issues out of the tissues. Well, I like that I'm a nurse because I can say, well, the liver holds fear. You know what I mean? So I can tell you there's body parts that hold certain emotional impacts on a body. And it's like, well, let's do this healing modality so that way we can get the issues out of the tissues, because as we know, the body keeps a score. Everything that happens to us is encoded into our cellular tissue. So I'm like, as a nurse, I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense. Kidneys, this makes sense. And then it's like, well, maybe I have a skin reaction coming up. Well, what are you resisting? still holding on to? So I think that for me, it's like I can dig in a little bit more that I may not have been able to if I wasn't a nurse.
Yeah. I think that is amazing. And one of the reasons is looking back, I have spiritual experiences,
Right.
but I feel like I was late to the party in really getting deep into it.
Right.
And part of it is because of that, not fear, but it is that we're not taught to believe in these things.
Right.
And so all of us, most of us are brought up to believe that, let's just, if we're not feeling well, we go to the doctor, or
Right.
we look at the medical, the
Right.
science part of it. And so for you to be able to marry the two together, so that when you have somebody who is presenting to you, you kind of see them in two ways.
Right.
Like you can see their physical issues, and you can see,
Yeah.
that is just incredible. Now, you just had a nice long sentence about the time. Can you go back and repeat that and explain to us what you do?
Oh, what do I do?
What did
So
you just gave us?
so what do I do, guys? So I am, so in my day life, I actually run a doctor's office. So I do find it very interesting that I'm still working as a registered nurse, and I'm still able to see, talk to patients and things like that. So I still work as a registered nurse running a doctor's office, and I am an Akashic Record practitioner healer. And what I love about the records is that that's your soul book. So anytime your soul has ever had a spark of life, it could be 2,000 years ago on a different planet or wherever, it doesn't matter. We can open up that book and we can pull in information from your master teachers and guides. The reason why I love the records and doing energy healing is that I can blend. Here I am blending again, Bernadette. I can blend it together, and but I can bring in, like, let's say you're having an issue with as a healer, what's always a limiting belief that we have? Fear being seen. We don't like to charge rates. We have a poor energy exchange, things like that. So I might be able to pull in a limiting belief that's holding you back in your spiritual journey, do an energetic healing while giving you empowering messages to help you move forward on your path. So what I like about my sessions the most is that I feel like I'm good with clarity. I'm good with, okay, something's not going right. I'm feeling gunked up in my energy. Maybe I'm overtired. Something's going on. I'm good with, I have a stop sign in front of me. I don't know why. Well, let's figure out why. And then let's pull in some empowering messages to help you be like, yeah, I got my roadmap now. Like, let's go. Like, I'm all about, I am here for part of your journey. I like to say that, I'll help you with the training wheels, but as soon as those training wheels go off, check back with me in a year, just so I can see how your energy is and everything that's happened. I love all of that. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. So energy healing, readings, like, it's just, you never know with the Akashic Records what's going to happen. So can we do past lives? Yes. Can we do future self? Yes. Can we do, oh gosh, you can pull in so much, like gods, goddesses, ascended masters, your loved ones, galactics, like so many beings come into these sessions. It's just like, let's go. And I just love it. I love doing readings because it's a powerful energetic healing for the person that's I'm doing the session on, but it's also for me too, because we find that it's healing aspects of ourselves that someone that's coming in front of you, like, you get kind of like, oh, that's a gentle reminder for myself too. Like, ooh.
So if someone comes into you,
Sure.
What if someone comes to you because they know you're a nurse,
Sure.
and they're like, will you be able to pick up on what's going on with their body at all? Like, do you have
I will say yes, but because I am not going to diagnose. I am able to assess as a registered nurse, but I'm not able to diagnose because I'm not a provider. But can I pick up that you're low in magnesium in your energetic body? Yes. Can I maybe offer a suggestion of maybe professional counseling is a way that you need to go down? I'm not someone who's against medication if it's needed. you know? So I
Mhm.
might say, like, you might want to talk to your provider about your high blood pressure, but maybe
Mhm.
also let's do an energy healing about it as well. So it
Mhm.
is kind of like we blend
Okay.
it together, you know what I mean? But
Okay.
I don't call myself a medical intuitive,
Okay.
because I'm not going to say, oh, you know what, I feel like you've got a heart block, you know?
Right.
I don't
Right.
feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, no, but that's really good because it helps, and I keep going to it because sometimes I
Sure.
think people are resistant
Yeah,
to getting spiritual help
definitely.
because and so being able to knock on your door and say, maybe even tell you, I have, I have high blood pressure. It like I don't know why,
Right.
and you would understand. You'd be able to
Absolutely.
understand.
Right, right. And I see myself as a bridge, like,
Yeah.
between the medical through between professionals and like the spiritual realm, like because I am a
Mhm.
medical professional and I do see myself as a bridge,
Yeah.
to kind of say, all right, no, let's talk about crystals and why they work, over
Yeah.
here, like how they raise up your vibration, how they don't go into entropy, how they don't break down, how they'll help your heart. So, like let's just go over
Yeah.
here.
So if I were to come to you and say, like, well, I don't know anything, even though I'm like so in tune with spirit, I have a
Yeah.
guide, all these other, I don't know anything about my Akashic
Yeah.
records. Like, what if I showed up and just said,
Yeah.
"Okay, I don't know anything." How would
Okay.
you start me? Like, what
I'd
would
be like,
you?
let's go. Like, I mean,
Like,
honestly, we would do so for a session. We go into a nice meditative state. You give me permission to open up your records. As soon as your records are open, I go down one of two pathways. One, we'll say you can open up your eyes, and then we're gonna just get to the reading, or they're asking you to do a healing or some type of a guided meditation type of experience, because we may need to do a past life healing. We may need to do an inner child healing. We may need to take you to your future self. We may need to bring soul aspects back to you. Like that's the thing,
mhm,
the beauty of an Akashic Record session. And I'm sure with all Akashic Records practitioners, I would hope that no session is ever the same. You
yeah,
never know what's going to come in, because we can talk for a little while and just say, what's going on? How you doing? What are some burning questions you have? Some people are like, what's my purpose? What am I here
yeah,
for?
yeah,
Was
yeah.
I in the Civil War? Was I, and you just don't know. So it's wild what comes in. And then it's just, bringing out that essence, being okay with me channeling the message to you, and you
Mhm.
being open to receive it. Have I had skeptics? Yeah, absolutely. Have I had people that are like, this is hogwash? Probably not. But
Mhm.
I have had to stop one session only because the energy wasn't flowing. And I'm just like, I don't think this is working. And I was honest, and you have to have integrity, and you have to be honest with your client. Like, I'm just not sure if we're a good fit, So that's why I like to start with a smaller session before we go into a bigger one.
Uh-huh.
Just
Do
don't
you
know.
um, do you have any session or story about somebody's session that's like kind of cool?
Oh, yes. I remember, this is popping into my mind now. It's a gentleman that I actually interviewed on my podcast, and he was with Jesus. Like Jesus was there, like Mary Magdalene was there, like he was part of the crew with Jesus, and like, preaching, and it was just like traveling from town to town, and that was pretty interesting. So you have to be willing to go on the journey of where your master teachers and guides want to take you. And then it's just like, for me as the person facilitating the session, I have to be okay with, is this something you want to know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting something. This might sound a little weird, but Jesus is here. Like, like, but it's amazing that, Jesus, I mean, I've had dragons, we've had elementals, we've had Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lemurians. Oh, I remember I have another friend, and she's in spirit in the back of me, Tony. I love her. And She was like one of my dearest friends. And we actually connected with Lemuria, and we went to, because the Lemuria part of it was in the ocean. And we went there when she was like a being within Lemuria, because she was fascinated with crystals. She had a crystal shop. Like, she was like my crystal guru, like for everyone in our community. Like, she's such a loss, but she was like the person. And it was so cool to connect her with that essence of her. And just like, but then we were able to see like this ship and like all of these like, technologies. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, to be part of that. We've gone to future times, like not even part of Earth anymore. It's just, again, a session can be wild, everyone.
And that's what, that is what is, that's what's so cool. It's so funny because one of the things, as I began to become more open, it is this deep wanting to know more and more.
Yes.
And I'm deeply into like ancient civilizations.
Love
and
that.
looking for information because, I just feel like there is, we didn't just show up here a couple of thousand years ago, and so I think that, and Lemuria is definitely one of those places that I
love that.
Yeah.
So then with Lemuria, I'm jumping topics here. You can actually, you may already do this, but if you have a Lemurian seed, which is kind of looks like this, there's keys on the Lemurians. So if you get a Lemurian seed and there's lines on them, they're called keys. And you can actually connect with Lemuria and connect with that ancient civilization, and you can meditate and then go in there, and then you'll receive knowledge and wisdom from whatever your Lemurian guides that show up for you.
So what you just showed us a crystal. So
yes. This is the Lemurian seed, and I have a big one. I think I have a big one. A bigger one.
So is it specifically? It's
like
not
a type of quartz. It's like a type of crystal quartz. If you go into any crystal shop, they should know. But there's like a line on it.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
It's hard to see because we're on video. But you can definitely connect with Lemuria, like through that. It's really cool. Like this. So this crystal, I think this is a Vestal. This is green. I don't know why I'm jumping the topics here, but I can help read Akashic Records with this one. And this is funny because they actually use this type of crystal in the lightsaber through Star Wars. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, so I mean, that's what I like about crystals, is that it's another tool that you can use to connect to different civilizations or different beings. Like Metatron, for example, he's an Akashic Record, practitioner. Like he's like the guardian of the records. So you can get like a Metatron cube or a Merkaba and just meditate inside of it as like a physical thing to connect with Metatron, who then can take you into the records.
Yeah.
So much you can do.
Man, you got me wanting to go in. And it is partly because one of the things that Spirit has shared with me is that they want us to be open to things that are mystical. Because we have spent so much time in the 3D world. The only thing we know is the 3D world, and that when we cross over, it is all mystical. There's so much things that are mystical, and for us to begin to recognize that we aren't just bricks and mortar, and that the idea of energy and how we interact with it and how it interacts with us or gets, is all hugely part of it. And I think that's what's so beautiful that's what I love, what drew me to you with the two, because then you have that, well, I'm a nurse, so I know all those things, but then by the way, you can come over and go.
I know. And then it's like, guys, there's a chasm. Like and I will say that there are times that I do feel like, within my blueprint and within my architecture that, I have nursing over here and then I have spiritual work over here. So it is a journey to partner the two together, but it's easy. It's becoming easier now, but it was a little, like, even at work, for example, some people don't want to talk about that, and that's okay. Like, no judgment. No, it's okay. But other people that, come in my office and want to hold my crystals and be calm, that's okay too.
Yeah. It is. You're actually really, wanting me, because with my clients, I'm more on the quiet side with them.
Mm,
I'm helping them because often there's grief and trauma
of
that
course.
and so we're working on the slow opening, because for many of them, it is an introduction.
Right,
And
right,
and so but there's a lot of excitement to it, because once they get in and I can really kind of open myself up,
right.
they see more. But even
So cool.
for me, this conversation with you is
Mhm.
making me want to open up even more, like
Right.
just to expand myself so that I can, even in my own practice. But
Absolutely.
so tell me more about the other practices that you do. You do the Akashic, but you
I do
also do.
Akashic Records. I'm a certified crystal healer. So, working with crystals, I am a certified angelic medium.
Mhm.
That sounds so funny. Medium.
Stop with the
Sure.
angelic medium. So tell us about that.
So that is connecting with your loved ones in spirit, but using an angel, working with an angel to bring forward that spirit.
Mhm.
So that is something that's very beautiful. See, the thing about me, it's that yes, I am certified in a lot of modalities, but I blend them all together whenever I do a session. So
Exactly.
depending on whatever's the client or whomever I'm talking to for their best and highest good, like they may need to do a chakra clearing and healing. That's okay. They may need maybe they need to know how to ground themselves, how to protect themselves. Psychic protection is very important. Maybe
Yes.
maybe they want to talk to, grandma that's in spirit, and that's okay too. Maybe they want to, who are talk about my team that's coming forward for me, and, let's pull that in. So
Yeah.
it's just, and then, so like I said, I blend them together. So with like integrative energy therapy, I talked about that. I'm a master instructor in that, so I can certify people in that, and it's a beautiful modality. They call it. I have my friend in my head. She used to get so mad at me. She's like, "Stop saying that." They call it Reiki on steroids, and she's like a Reiki master, and I'm like, "Well, it is." Like it just, like I'm just such a smart butt with her, and but I love IET because it's a gentle but yet very powerful healing modality. And as you get more into IET, it's really cool because you can actually download your soul mission into your cellular tissue. It's called a soul star. So it's like you can pull that in through IET. Like there's so much stuff that we can do. Like, connecting with the elementals. I don't know why the elementals are stepping forward, but it's like connecting with the elementals, like they'll bring you whatever you need energetically. Like let's say maybe you need some rose essential oil in your life, but you don't have it, call on the elves and they can bring it to you energetically. Have them
Okay.
bring it to you. I would
Always.
say, I'm getting excited, obviously. I would say also I do a lot of teaching. So I've taught at Lilydale. I've taught at a lot of places around here. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to, I teach people
Mhm.
how to read their records.
Yeah.
I can teach, I go down a lot of different tangents because I'm like, oh, I can do that. Oh, let's talk about how being an empath is your superpower. Oh, let's talk about chakras. Like, I don't know. Whatever someone wants to learn about, I can teach.
Yeah, it's so good, and you are going to light up somebody's life when they're listening to for this podcast, because there's
Get very
just
excited.
so much. So explain what I know what elementals are, but what are
Sure.
elementals? Not
So
everybody.
elementals are earth beings. They're the
Mhm.
earth. They're part of Mother Earth. They are earth beings. So the gnomes, the unicorns, the elves, the dragons. I mean, really, any type of being that we've seen in our fairy tales, those
Mhm.
are beautiful, amazing. Oh, fairies.
Fairies.
Elementals. I remember when I took, I don't know if you ever followed Doreen Virtue, but she had a fairyologist course. I took that as well. And
Okay.
that, and it was all about how to do fairy parties and how to like connect with fairies and whatnot. I mean, I
Yeah.
know she's no longer on the spiritual plane, but she's on
Yeah.
the physical plane, but in her super Christian ways, that's her journey.
Yeah.
And but no, it was just, yeah, fairyologists like do fairy
Yeah.
houses because your fairies switch out with the seasons, and you
Yeah.
should like offer them, milk, honey, like give them gifts, give them little trinkets, say thank you to them. The sprites, don't have them in your house, like, because they can be a little naughty and mess with your electronics. So it's
Yeah.
just like, I like the elementals. Like you'll see sparkles of light, and just like, oh,
Uh-huh.
fairies, because they'll
Oh,
They'll bring up the energy. They'll
Yeah.
bring you to a more playfulness. It doesn't, like, gnomes are really good with abundance. Call on the gnomes for abundance. Help you with your abundance. If you connect up with your Earth Star chakra, your Soul Star chakra, have the gnomes go up there and clean it out. It will help with your abundance. There's so much you can do.
I remember because I was introduced, one of my spiritual mentors kind of introduced me to the fairies, and
Oh,
she had,
nice.
at her awakening, she had this incredible
I love that.
fairy experience. And I remember, and at first, sometimes I teach people that when they are not ready to believe, like don't
Mm.
not believe, but put it in the category of I don't believe yet,
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And with the fairies, I was kind of like, okay, I think I believe. I think I believe. And then I went kayaking. I was up with a friend in Maine, and I went kayaking, and I was by myself. I just wanted to go by myself, and
Oh,
the kayak was surrounded by dragonflies.
I love that.
And I knew it was the fairy. I knew it was all, and they,
Saying hello.
yeah, and I know when I moved into not this where I'm living now,
Yeah.
but back in Vermont, they were right outside my door. There was a tree there, and I knew that the fairies were they
I
were my
love that.
they were protecting me, and
I love
that
that.
was because there was a lot. That's where I was awakening. That's where a lot of the awakening
Yeah.
happened, and they were like holding guard outside.
That's so cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool. I mean, you bring up a good point. Like, call on the angels to bring you protection.
yeah,
Whenever I'm having like a moment in my life and I'm just feeling a little like, ugh, something's not right, I'll say, well, God, please send me angels to protect my property. Please grid my house. Please grid my mirrors. Please grid my
mhm,
doorways. Please protect me, guide me, direct me. And so it's like calling in that, because energy follows intention, calling that in to help you. Like, that's something I do, like, on almost, like, if I'm driving my car, I'll be like, God, please send extra angels to protect my car.
yeah,
We have a lot of crazy drivers.
yeah. Yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. And I think that's one of the, again, one of the wonderful things that you're sharing today
Yeah,
is that to really pull it in to your entire life. And
absolutely.
and I know it's so hard because there is still this, there's so many people out there that don't believe, and so that
Mm,
if you feel like you have to keep this a secret in a
right.
lot, or at least to the extent, like, if I go around talking about fairies, people are going to be like, what, like, and so you have to, like, so you feel like you have to, you don't really have to, but you
Hmm.
feel like you have to. And somebody just asked me today, they said, we're talking about all of us coming, raising the
Yes.
consciousness, all of us awakening.
Hmm.
And and they said to me, do you really think it's as big as it is?
Yes.
And I said to them, I said, if you were to ask all of us to be counted, if it went out over the world that if you are awakening or in that process that you
Hmm.
need to be counted, I said you would be shocked at the number of people that would step outside. That it
Absolutely.
is. And so one of the things that is part of my journey is one, highlighting somebody like you, but it is
Thank
also to encourage people to allow this to happen, and
Absolutely.
and if it feels, you can take it slowly, but go towards whatever is, if you're interested in crystals, like go
Yeah.
towards crystals and go see somebody who really knows crystals,
Absolutely.
and things like that, like the
Be
Akashic.
open to what you can put into your toolbox. Like, you don't, when you start your spiritual journey, there's a lot of seeking knowledge and seeking wisdom. And the one thing you definitely want to use discernment, because there are people that do take advantage of people in vulnerable states. So you
Yeah,
definitely want to make sure that whoever you're getting your wisdom and knowledge from, that it's somebody that you trust and that you feel good about. And then
right,
just being open to wherever that intuitive nudge inside of you is pulling you to, that's where divine is trying to lead you to. It's like, this is part of my
right,
blueprint, and this is where divine is leading me to, and really tune into your intuitive hunches. And it comes in as whispers. It may not be like a loud sight in front of you. So I,
right.
I feel like Yeah, you're right. 100%. There's a quickening of energy on the planet now. So it's like buckle up.
Yeah.
We're going to get more intense. So,
Well, I love what you just said, which is you will be drawn to what you need, really.
absolutely.
Depending on where you are in your belief system, in your
Mhm.
knowledge of the spiritual world and all the different modalities and
Absolutely.
things that are out there. And like I remember, so I really wanted to connect with my guide, and the angels. I had
Yeah.
angels around me. The ancestors. When
Yes.
people would come to me, the ancestors would be there for me, but I didn't have a guide. Like
Mm,
I felt like that. I just was missing it.
right.
And they got me to use the pendulum, which I was
Yes.
totally like, don't want to use it. That was like voodoo, like
Love
don't
it.
use it. You're gonna
Let's
bring
not talk
something
about
in.
table tipping then.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, but I did it because I just decided, and they gently took me through.
Yeah.
I connected with my spirit guide, and then
Love it.
it was like, now you don't need the pendulum. Like I only
Right.
need
Absolutely.
it was just to introduce, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was like that world completely opened up to me.
I love
And
that.
yeah, I mean, so it's so important for anybody out there who
Mhm.
is feeling like they really want to step in. And so many people that listen to this podcast and your podcast and
Mhm.
others are all people who are really wanting to learn more and understand more
Absolutely.
and find the person they want to reach out to, that they're going to
Absolutely.
like put their big toe in.
Just tip it a
So,
little bit.
so what was the first thing you were drawn to when it came to
Oh.
what was,
I,
what,
I loved I love psychic readings. I was obsessed. I was like, wow, that is amazing to be able to connect to that nature of someone and to do a reading. And yes, I love Sylvia Brown. And honestly, I remember I was 15 years old watching Sylvia Brown, and like she was just, and I loved how if you think about it, like she was somebody who trusted her voice and spoke her truth. And on a spiritual path, such as ourselves, we have to be willing to speak our truth, because
Mhm.
we have to be able to be open, to be willing to communicate, like, hey, this is okay, and you're not
Right?
alone, and let me help you. And so that kind of was my first opening into the spiritual realm. I mean, I had experiences as a younger child, but like, I grew up in a Baptist family and then went to a Catholic high school, and I was told that we're all sinners. And then, of course, because I'm me, I was like, I'm not a sinner. Who are you talking about? And I would get kicked out of class. And then it was just like, so I've always bucked the system, I guess. But yeah, so that was kind of like, I really like the psychic, which is, I just was
Yeah.
fascinated by it. It was like, this is cool. And I
Yeah.
remember I went to a spiritualism church, and those are
Oh,
kind of fascinating.
yeah. I've
And
been.
yeah, they're
Mhm.
cool, and they'll give you messages or readings. And I remember the gentleman, he was like, you get intuitive hits, and it comes in. I can remember now. It comes in like a spiral, and you have to be able to interpret it. And I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
but that kind of like sparked me, and then I went down definitely a very meandering journey.
Yeah.
And now I'm here.
No, that's so cool, because the very first time I was in Vermont, and I was desperate to find people that
Mm.
I would connect with. And so I found this spiritualist church
Oh,
and
that's cool.
got somebody to go with me, like just said, please
Yeah.
come with me, because I didn't want to go by myself. But I remember the first, I didn't necessarily have a reading. I did have some kind of a healing while I was there.
Nice.
And this person came up to me afterwards and she said, your crown chakra is open like this.
I love
And
that.
I was
Ready
like,
to receive.
but it was like, okay, at least I know I'm not
Yeah,
making that is,
absolutely.
that we are really, well, you and I could talk for about another
Yes.
4 hours. um,
Yes, guys.
um, yeah, but I really want, so for those that are listening,
Sure.
that Rachel is amazing. And it is she has an energy of allowing you to, as I was saying before, kind of believe in something when you're not ready to believe in it, by
Yeah.
just because you are so confident. And because you understand, the very, the deep, somebody who has been told their whole life to follow the medical, to
Right.
listen to your doctor. And I know people who are still like that.
Oh yeah,
It is
absolutely.
only the doctor. So please reach out. This is the
That's
AkashicAngels.com.
me.
Yes.
That's me.
um, website, and we will put other things in. It'll be in the show notes. But I would love you to talk a little bit, kind of wrap up, say whatever you would love to share,
Oh
what
my
any
goodness.
you'd want to call them in to do with you. What do you?
Sure, certainly. So for anyone that's interested in learning more about me, the best place to go to would probably be akashicangels.com. I do have a podcast that Bernadette mentioned, Spiritual Spotlight series, that has weekly episodes. I've interviewed people from all over the world, which is cool. And I think, like, kind of what you talked about earlier is that, on the spiritual path, and there's a lot of people that are awakening right now, and there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hatred, and we can choose to be out of that vibration.
Mhm.
We can choose to consciously raise our vibration to be kind of a safe space for individuals to go to really be like, I see you where you're at on your journey, and I can be a helping hand for you on this path. And also not to be judgmental. Like, maybe you're seeing spirit, maybe you're getting signs, maybe you're having high-pitched noises, maybe
Mhm.
there's just so many different things that go on with us when we go through the spiritual awakening and in the dark night of the soul, and connect with people that have gone through it, such as ourselves. And the thing is, I guess I do want to say this: the spiritual journey is never over, and it doesn't end. Just because we've gone through a spiritual awakening doesn't mean we're not always still learning and expanding and evolving and awakening more and ascending. And like, now my big thing is really connecting in with the galactics, and really channeling that in, and really being like, what sparks you inside and what makes you feel alive. And then I think I want to partner that with your mindset is also going to have to do a shift as well. So if you're somebody who is like, I don't believe in this crap, well, guess what? It's going to be hard to open it up. But if you're willing to dip your little baby toe in,
Yeah. Open that window just a
open the
little.
window, unlimited possibilities of
Yes.
really like pulling in unconditional love, and really pulling in these
Mhm.
beautiful, amazing beings who are really, they're witnessing us as humans, because we're a soul in a human body. They're here to help us. Part of their journey, as you're talking about your team and your guide, we partnered before we came here with our guide, our team, to have this spiritual journey, to have this path on earth, and they are here to help us. And that's
Yeah.
where I'm going to end it.
And I'm just going to add one more thing to what you were
Sure.
saying, because there's a feeling that we get when we are connected. And
Yes.
that feeling is amazing. It is
Yeah,
just amazing. And as you open, you get to keep that feeling more often.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
your vibration will it will naturally
Yeah.
go to where you need to be, and you'll be able to get out of certain energy funks faster.
Yes.
You'll be able to feel whole. You'll be able to feel centered, at peace, and
Mhm.
really shed away some of that energy that's no longer serving you. It's like there's so many things that you can do to really help you to feel more open and more powerful, and to use your voice.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so grateful that you were here,
Oh,
Rachel.
thank you.
And everybody that's listening, you can guarantee that Rachel's going to come back again, because she has so much wisdom to share. And so again, if you want to connect with her,
Yeah.
AkashicAngels.com.
Okay.
And yeah, such a beautiful, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here.
Thank you so much.